Have you ever felt like your past still has a grip on you? Like, no matter how hard you try to move forward, something unseen keeps pulling you back? For years, I carried a weight that no one could see. Shame, fear, guilt. It followed me everywhere. It was in the way I looked at myself in the mirror. It was in the way I second guessed my worth in relationship. It was in the choices I'd made just to escape my own thoughts. But healing is possible, and I want to share that journey with you. Not the Instagram version of healing, not the neatly packaged self-love bullshit speeches, but the real, messy, painful, and raw process of healing. I remember lying in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. I was about 6 years old. The beeping machines, the cold air, the sterile smell, it all felt so unnatural. I didn't understand where I was or why I had to stay there. But the hardest part wasn't the illness, it wasn't the doctors, the needles, or the discomfort. It was the loneliness. I waited for my parents to walk through the door. Every time I heard footsteps in the hallway, my heart would race, but they never came. Not because they didn't want to, but because they weren't allowed. Back then in Poland, hospital rules meant parents couldn't stay with their children. So for 2 weeks, I was on my own. At 6 years old, I didn't understand rules and policies. All I knew was the feeling, abandoned, confused, powerless. I wanted comfort. I wanted warmth. I wanted to hear my mom's voice, to hold my dad's hand. But instead, I learned something else. Sometimes, even the people who love you the most can't always be there when you need them. And that completely changed me. Something inside me shut down. I started believing that I couldn't rely on anyone, not even the people who loved me. Because if love meant being left alone when I was scared and hurting, then maybe love wasn't something I could trust. Without realizing it, that experience shaped me and shaped how I saw the world. I started keeping people at arm's length. I learned to deal with pain alone, to never ask for help, to never fully trust that someone would stay. And for years, that belief followed me, shaping how I saw myself, my emotions, and the way I let people in, or, more often, the way I didn't. At 10, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I was just a kid, but suddenly I had to think about survival. Every meal became math, every decision had consequences. But what scared me more than the illness was the idea of people knowing, so I hid it. I didn't want to be the sick kid. I didn't want people to see me as weak, different, fragile. So I pretended it didn't exist. I kept it to myself. I didn't talk about it with my friends. I didn't bring it up in school. Later, when I started dating, I made sure they never found out. Before I ever had to open up to them, I would break things off because the fear of rejection was just too much. I was terrified of what they might think. Will she see me differently if she knows? Will she think I'm a burden? Will she leave? The thought of being looked at with pity or worse, even disgust, was something I couldn't handle. So I made sure no one got close enough to find out. And in order to keep the lie going, I made choices that hurt me. I skipped injections when I was around people, even if it meant feeling like crap for the rest of the day. I ignored my blood sugar levels. I sacrificed my own health just to maintain the illusion that I was normal. Looking back now, I see how much damage I did to myself, physically and emotionally, just to avoid being seen for who I really was. I thought hiding my diabetes would make me feel safe, but all it did was actually make me feel even more alone. When you carry pain that you don't know how to process, it festers inside you, it builds up like a weight, and eventually it starts to shape the way you see yourself and the world around you. For me, the pain was shame, deep, suffocating shame that I couldn't even put into words. Shame isn't just about feeling bad for things you've done, it's about believing that who you are is the problem, that there is something wrong with you at your core. And I lived with that feeling every single day. It was the voice in my head telling me I wasn't good enough, smart enough, strong enough. It was the fear that if people really knew me, they would walk away. So I buried it. I buried it with alcohol, with partying, with anything that could distract me from knowing pain inside. I pushed people away because I couldn't bear the thought of them seeing the real me, the scared, hurting, broken me. Every bad choice I made wasn't a mistake, it was an attempt to escape the shame, escape the self-loathing. I didn't want to confront it. I didn't know how. I thought that if I could just numb it, if I could just keep pretending it would go away. But it never did. And the more I tried to hide it, the more it controlled me. Shame doesn't just stay quiet, it feeds on silence. The longer I kept it hidden, the stronger it became, until it felt like that was all I was. I didn't see it at the time, but it really had trapped me. And in the process, I lost touch with who I really was. I thought I was just protecting myself by hiding it, but what I was really doing was pushing away the very thing I needed the most: connection, honesty, and acceptance. And in doing so, I cut myself off from real love, real growth, and even the chance of healing. It took me years to understand that my coping mechanisms weren't random. They weren't bad decisions. They were just survival strategies. My body and mind were trying to protect me the only way they knew how. Healing wasn't a straight road. Some days, I felt like I was making progress. The other days, I felt like I was back at square one. There were moments where I wanted to give up, moments I questioned if I was even capable of change. But every small step mattered. Every little breakthrough, no matter how tiny, was a step closer to reclaiming myself. A therapy didn't fix me because I was never broken. But it actually helped me understand myself, to see where my pain was coming from, and to give myself the compassion I had never learned to give before. 13 years of therapy and I'm still learning. I still have moments of doubt. Moments where the old wounds ache. But now I don't run from them, I sit with them. I face them. And for the first time in my life, I trust that I can handle them. For many years, I thought I was alone in this. But I now know that so many of us are carrying invisible pain. We live in the world where people only show their best moments, their highlights. But I want to show the truth. The struggles, the setbacks, the messy middle. Because real healing isn't linear. It's raw, uncomfortable, and sometimes really ugly. And that's okay. If you've ever felt alone, ashamed, or stuck, I want you to know you're not broken, you're not alone, and healing is possible. No matter how deep the wounds, no matter how heavy the past feels, there's a way forward. If this video resonated with you, drop a comment or send me a message. I would love to hear your story, because healing isn't meant to be done alone. We heal in connection, we heal in honesty, in knowing that someone else understands. I'll be sharing more about trauma, recovery, diabetes, and everything I'm learning along the way. If you're on a healing journey too, let's do this together. We don't have to be perfect, we just have to keep going.